Hello, everyone. My name is Schink. I'm head of marketing at Recoveris. With me, we have also Buret, who is a blockchain investigations manager. And the purpose of today's recording is to give you knowledge based on our work about digital assets intelligence, specifically about threat vectors and recovery frameworks. So without further ado, let's begin.
So hello everyone, the idea today is to go through the different threat vectors that we see. Firstly, the technical exploits. So in that category, we want to speak about the hacks or different vulnerability that are being exploited at decentralized exchanges, but also centralized exchanges. And on the other part, we'll be talking about what we call human-targeted attacks, which are leveraging any kind of social engineering to access the crypto of users and institutions.
So first, we wanted to give you a landscape overview of the trends and the scale of what's going on. So based on the numbers for last year, because we have them in full, of course, we see primarily frauds and scams leading the way with the threats. We see a big year-on-year increase since the previous years. That's plus 66%. And then the remaining 19.1% are hacks and exploits, so those technical ones. They also saw an increase, 21% versus the previous year, but we clearly see that frauds and scams are dominating the threat landscape. And in 2024, we saw 11.5 billion lost in those threats. In terms of the victim types, divided by stolen value, we see that actually institutional victims were losing 70% of what was stolen, with just 25% of incidents. So that also tells us that those were big and substantial incidents. And the losses of institutional victims saw a very big 100% increase year on year, versus what was lost by the retail or DeFi sector, which was 30% of the losses, and actually a decrease there of 54% year on year. So we can see that institutional victims are increasingly targeted, and they are losing more value than retail or DeFi. Notably, we saw a huge record hack in February this year, which was 1.5 billion lost of Ethereum, and that was the infamous Bybit hack. And in terms of trends that we would like you to remember, like mentioned, we are seeing that attackers are systematically targeting centralized infrastructure, exchanges, custody solutions, VASPs. And also the technical sophistication of those attacks is getting combined with advanced social engineering when the human is in the center. So this creates a hybrid attack vector which bypasses traditional security controls. We also see that state-sponsored groups like the North Korean Lazarus, they dominate the value of stolen assets, but the landscape is actually fragmenting into record amounts of mid-cap exploits. So instead of those singular huge hacks, we see a record number of medium-sized exploits. And the first category that we wanted to cover in more detail are the technical exploits. So those attacks primarily target centralized exchanges, wallet providers, and they probe for code vulnerabilities and smart contract bugs, and also general infrastructure weaknesses across platforms and the APIs that are being used. The attackers, they gain unauthorized access, they manipulate transaction flows, they extract private keys controlling the funds through the exploitation of logic errors, authentication bypasses, and cryptographic weaknesses. In terms of the scale, we see private key compromises dominating. They accounted for 43.8% of crypto theft in the last year. And those operations, they combine technical exploitation with social engineering. So, for example, they compromise developer workstations in order to inject malicious code, like in the Bybit hack case. And also they sometimes bribe even third-party contractors for system access, like in the Coinbase breach. In terms of the general scale, those exploits total 2.2 billion in 2024, which is a 21% increase versus the previous year. And like we already said, the institutional victims are representing up to 70% of the stolen value. We also see a shift from DeFi smart contract exploits to centralized infrastructure attacks. And the attackers are generally pivoting toward key management and access vulnerabilities. We also already mentioned the North Korean Lazarus group. That group on its own stole 1.34 billion across 47 incidents in the previous year. So that's 61% of all hacking losses. And those were primarily targeting institutions. Moving on to the human-centric attacks, we wanted to specifically cover phishing and wallet drainers. In those cases, one unfortunate malicious signature can grant the attackers full wallet access. The victims are lured through fake airdrops, copycat sites, phishing links. They often appear completely legitimate until the assets vanish from the accounts. The sophistication is increasing. We see token draining and cross chains in single transactions, which is becoming the new standard. And multi-chain laundering, decentralized mixing make traditional blockchain analytics insufficient. We even saw a phenomenon called Drainer as a Service, which are platforms that now provide phishing kits to affiliates. And then those affiliates, they run sophisticated campaigns, increasingly targeting employees of crypto companies. They use fake job offers and LinkedIn impersonation. And those Drainer operations, they generated 494 million losses in 2024, which is a big 67% year-on-year increase.
So what can we do? And yeah, first thing I wanted to mention is that we grouped the recovery frameworks in this presentation between the technical exploits, including the hacks and other exploits, with phishing, because the morphology of these cases is usually the same. You have a specific incident at a specific date with an amount of crypto on one chain or different chains, and we have a starting point, and we try to trace and recover funds from this specific incident. And there's also the level of sophistication that Daniel mentioned that is quite similar. The individuals behind these attacks, these type of attacks, are usually very well prepared to launder the funds that they have stolen through these means. So the first phase that is really trying to contain the risk. So is there any other assets that are at risk of this kind of exploits? And on the phishing, if an individual, for example, or an institution has been phished, are there any assets that we need to transfer to a new wallet that is safe and avoid further losses? Then on the recovery side, looking at the assets, the timeliness of reaction is really key. Reacting in the first hours, we really maximize the chances of recovery. And when I say react, it means that there's a need to have someone looking at where the assets are being sent, and usually it doesn't take more than a few hours for the first batch of stolen assets to be sent through their system of money laundering. One in the crypto sector, one specificity is that reporting publicly may help greatly to recover the funds, and this means that flagging the addresses that are holding the stolen funds, and as they move, keeping on reporting these addresses to major exchanges or to analytic tools is going to be key in recovering or catching some of these funds as they are sent to services. One other point is to contact the competent and relevant law enforcement units, so relevant to your jurisdictions or relevant to your to the specific case. And this is to make sure that as soon as there are some funds frozen, or that a service can services will usually ask for the involvement of law enforcement. There's also the path of civil recoveries, also involving a lawyer that is ready to apply for a disclosure order or a freezing order in the right jurisdiction can also be very helpful. Once these first steps are done, we go in what we call phase 2 in active tracing and containment. So the idea is we know where the assets are standing, and we'll keep on monitoring any of the funds movements as they are being sent through different decentralized exchange or services, or through mixers, and try to keep on tracing and doing investigation to identify where the assets are being sent to. And the real goal of this is to identify the receiving platforms, or who we need to contact to try to freeze some funds or get some disclosure that may lead to identify who are the individuals behind. As the funds are moved, so we would do in prevention, we would contact a set of exchanges that we personally have good contacts with. But as the funds are moved, we will be very proactive to reach out to new services or even decentralized services to try to get the addresses with the stolen funds blacklisted and recover some of the funds that they are sent to these funds when possible. Once some funds have been frozen on the platform, there's some work to do with the platform to identify what do they need exactly to release the funds back to or law enforcement or directly to the victim. And that's where having an early contact with the right law enforcement unit may help to recover the funds. And same on civil proceedings, having a competent lawyer lined up to send the right application to apply for the right court order. It may help, as services they will only hold the funds for a certain period of time, and that period of time can be short. One last point that works that worked already on some cases with hackers, and usually it works when the hacker is not in a very organized crime group. It works a lot when these hackers are what we call lone wolf hackers. So they seize the opportunity. They saw an opportunity to withdraw some funds on a project that they're working on, or just vulnerability that they could exploit interacting with certain smart contracts or with a certain platform. And so blockchain enables us to send messages to addresses that we know are controlled by these hackers, and we could try to negotiate what we call a white hat settlement. So paying them a bounty for the vulnerability that they have exploited, but recover most of the funds to the victim.
Moving on to another type of fraud that we wanted to discuss specifically. Those are investment scams. And in those, the fraudsters impersonate venture capital firms, institutional investors, strategic partners. They offer lucrative investment terms or acquisition opportunities to companies. They even conduct professional due diligence calls, present fabricated term sheets, request good faith crypto deposits, and then afterwards they vanish. The typical targets are Web3 startups, DeFi protocols, or crypto service providers that are seeking capital. And in terms of scale, the investment scams represented 50% of all digital asset losses of 2024, totaling up to 5.8 billion. Those scams combine romance fraud, fake investment platforms, and so-called pig butchering schemes. They can extract hundreds of thousands of dollars from victims or businesses over months of psychological manipulation. And those scam operations, they range from individual cold callers to even organized South Asian crime syndicates who are running call centers. And in those regions, they can operate with relative impunity. Those centers, they even often take advantage of human trafficking victims. And they can use AI-generated personas, deepfake video calls, and professionally designed fake trading platforms that mirror legitimate exchanges.
So in this type of cases, usually there has been more than one payment, and this payment have been done over a period of a certain number of months. And so if when a victim comes to us and actually mentions that they have lost $500,000, $1 million, or of their life savings to this kind of scams, actually there may be only half of this, or a small portion of this that were lost in the last month. And I say that because the timeliness of reporting is also crucial in these cases. If the funds have been sent through several layers of the money laundering process, it becomes very difficult to recover it. And just stepping one step back, and these scams are not only targeted at individuals; they are also scammers that are targeting institutions. There's been 2 years ago, there was an AI-generated call to a finance controller in the company, and they imitating the CFO, and there was video and sound of the CFO on a call to this finance controller, and the finance controller released 20 million of funds in crypto to this scam. It was and so it's not these type of scams are very much concerning also institutions. So what do we do in this kind of cases? First, as soon as we receive the request, we look at the recovery prospects, and this is based on a few parameters. Usually, it's the amount lost, how much time happened since this amount was lost. And as I explained, it can be that different payments have been sent over a certain month. So we would consider that into as well. And then the complexity of the laundering chain. Are the funds sent all to one exchange or to different exchanges? Are they sent through bridges, through different chains that we can trace, or is it all sent to Binance, for example? And this will impact as well. This will tell us very quickly who we are dealing with, who are the actors on the other side, and how sophisticated they are in their money laundering process, and it will impact greatly the prospect of recovery. And all this analysis comes into a cost-benefit analysis for us, and to advise the clients on what are the best steps to take, and what cost there would be would they choose to pursue an investigation and recovery of their funds. We cannot promise any recovery, and that's another type of scams that we see a lot, follow-up scam on these, especially on the investment scams, where individuals are contacted by recovery scams promising them to release funds. In reality, you cannot promise any recovery from the get-go. You can identify routes for recovery, so funds that are still held on chain and that we can monitor, or target for disclosures or freezing orders for exchanges. For exploits, it's very important to involve law enforcement, the relevant law enforcement units as soon as possible, just to get a criminal case created. This may be crucial for later inquiries to receiving exchanges, and having them involved from the start, not necessarily working, but being aware of the case, may enable that they will understand better, and with less not incur any more delay into the request that they need to send. In phase 2, so once these steps are set up, we would go in phase 2, which means same, there will be some monitoring as in the first phase, but it will inform what kind of what exchanges we have received the funds and are likely to comply with a disclosure order, or and help us to assess what are the different paths that we can consider for recovery or further investigation. Additionally, leveraging the transparency of blockchain, we tracing the funds that have been stolen is one thing, but usually they are aggregated with funds from other victims, and we can look at the activity on the same addresses and try to link this activity to more current activity. So speaking about transfers that have been done months ago, maybe there's a way to connect these addresses that were used months ago to addresses that are being used today, and so funds that are reachable today via freezing injunctions or disclosure orders, and that's a strategy that has been paying quite a lot for us.
So that's it in terms of specific knowledge that we wanted to provide. We hope you found this informative. If you ever need any assistance with these types of cases, we are Recoveris. We are a Swiss-based company. We can help you with blockchain forensics and investigations, digital asset recovery, source of funds and compliance support, and also trainings and specialist workshops. If you would like to get in touch, please visit our website at recoveris.io, or please send us an email at contact@recoveris.io. And yeah, we thank you for your attention, and please stay safe out there. Thank you.
Thank you.